All right. Small business owners that are watching, budding entrepreneurs, anyone that's out there that's looking for some excellent insight from a successful human being, we are in for a treat today. We've got multi-millionaire, multi-successful business owner, real estate extraordinaire, and basically overall tremendous human being. Brad Sugar is online with us today.
Dang, buddy, you can do my intro everywhere in the world from now on. I think that's a good thing.
I still think I'm being a little modest, but in any case, we're going to be asking Brad a bunch of questions and getting some great insight about the keys to success as a small business owner. So let's get right into it. Brad, first off, thanks for being online with us today. I'm super happy and glad that we can get some great information out to the folks out there. And so for those people that don't know you, Brad, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Geez, I've been in business since I was a 15-year-old kid. I've owned and operated more than 50 companies. Currently, either owner or major shareholder of more than 12 companies now. We just bought another one last month. Everything from restaurants to pizza wholesaling to real estate businesses to magazine publishing, Action Coach, of course, business coaching company. Now in, 76 countries around the world. So coaching from Japan to Australia to England to anywhere here in the States where we live.
So just a couple things.
Look, buddy, I get involved in a lot. On top of that, I'm a father of 4. Our 5th child is on the way. So, it's between my wife and I, we stay kind of busy.
Yeah, I don't comprehend how you found the time and continue to find the time to do all of that. So congrats to you. It's definitely inspirational for the rest of us, that's for sure. So Brad, as small business owners, we go through ups and downs, right? Sort of the entrepreneurial roller coaster. How do you continue to keep pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to higher levels of success?
Well, I think it's about who you surround yourself with, buddy. If you surround yourself with people who, are doing average, you'll do average. If you surround yourself with people who are doing great, you'll do great. So you've got to get yourself in environments or in groups. And that's why the things that, like for you, Sean, when you run group coaching programs or when you run 90-day planning for all your clients, you get them all together and hey, presto, they create a great business. And them working with each other, it sort of helps them push. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I totally see that. And I'm sure there's always someone out there you can get yourself around to pump you up a little bit. So that's great. As owner of the largest business coaching firm in the world, obviously Action Coach, do you have a coach?
I have 3 actually. So I have one in personal life. So personal life, it's just as important to get coached personally as it is financially or business owner. I have a financial coach. Because obviously investing is a major part of success in the financial world. And so to keep me on track with my investing, because I hate to say it, but once you hit a certain point of wealth, you can tend to get a little lazy with the investing. And then third, obviously I have someone in business. So that person is more along the lines of mergers and acquisitions. That's sort of where I focus these days, mergers and acquisitions of companies, selling companies, buying companies. That's really what I'm focused on mostly.
All right. So multiple coaches. Nice. So whether you talk about one or all 3, what's the biggest gain you've seen from having a coach?
Oh, look, I think that it's pretty simple. Coaching works for 3 reasons. Number one is that you don't know what you don't know. I mean, you can't see the forest for the trees. There's no 2 ways about that. You're never going to see. I mean, I put business owners in a scenario. I said, go walk into that restaurant and tell me the 10 things you'd improve. And they tell me 10 things immediately. And then you say, go and have a look at your own business. Tell me 10 things you'd improve. And they're like, well, we're doing everything we can, Brad. And it's like, oh, no, you're not. And so, the number one reason is they help me see things that I just can't see in my own world because I'm too close to it. That's the first thing. The second thing my coaches do is they bring knowledge that I don't have. My financial coach, the guy's a genius at financial stuff. And, there's things that he teaches me every week in my coaching sessions that, dang, hadn't thought about that. Dang, hadn't thought about that. And that sort of stuff. And the third reason is just accountability. When I tell my financial coach that I'll buy another 3 pieces of real estate this month, if I don't do it, he kicks my butt, basically. I mean, I'm trying to be blunt about it, but and the same with the relationship stuff. If I don't do what I'm supposed to do, my coach there, she's not impressed with me, and then she'll let me know what I need to do to make sure I fix that stuff. So you've got to. I guess life is about balancing the financial and the physical and the emotional aspects of it, and so that's why I try and have multiple coaches. But for business people, I think the biggest thing is they get so stuck in business that it's like you need to get a coach on board, and the coach won't increase your workload. They'll actually decrease your workload and change your workload because of the fact that they'll help you do it in a far better way.
Yeah. Excellent. So a couple different takeaways to get from your coaches, certainly some good gains. So some small business owners are growing, but they want to grow faster. Some aren't growing at all, and some might be retracting in their business. What is the first book a small business owner should read if they're looking to reach the next level in their business?
Okay, so first I'll give you my first book of mine. The first book they should read of mine is either, if they need money immediately, they should be on instant cash flow. If they want to learn the system of growing a business, it's The Business Coach. If they want to learn the system of wealth through business, it's Billionaire in Training. If you've never been in business for yourself, Billionaire in Training should be the one. If you're in business, either The Business Coach or Instant Cash Flow. Probably The Business Coach is the first one I would say to them, because what we did when I wrote that book, we'd already coached 13,000 companies around the world how to succeed. Today, we do about 18,000 a week clients that we coach one-on-one. But at that time, after success with 13,000 companies, I wrote the book, How to Be Successful, and that made the big difference.
Yeah, okay, great. And so there's obviously many aspects associated with small business, as you're well aware of. What would you say is the most important aspect of small business? So if you don't have this aspect going right, you can't succeed.
Well, making a profit. That would be the first point. Profitability is key in business, and profitability comes from less expenses than you do income. And so controlling your expenses, you can't cost cut your way to success. You have to increase revenue. So revenue increase is the most important factor for a business owner. If you're a business owner, the number one thing you need to be great at is sales and marketing. I mean, you just have to be great at that stuff if you want a high growth business. Operationally, you can usually hire people to do the operations. Operationally, you can hire people to do the admin and that sort of stuff. It's that income generation, the rainmaker, as they call it, that you need to be. And so if I was looking at, and you keep using the word small business, Sean, and I'm going to say that we should never use the word small business because it's just a big business in training. And that mentality is really important, that business people understand that every business started as a backyard or a kitchen desk or a garage or something. Everyone started that way. I started mine in a spare bedroom, and you think about starting your business there. Well, the growth rate of a business is dependent upon its ability to get new customers and retain existing customers. If you can retain your existing and you can get new, then you've got a growth business. But if you want a really good growth business, you've got to have multiple methodologies of getting new customers and multiple methodologies of retaining your existing customers.
Yeah, I like that concept of no such thing as a small business. I like that. So I'm going to change some of my questions now to accommodate that. No, I like that a lot. So, okay, there's obviously many challenges that business owners will go through in their business lifetime. So what would you say is the top challenge you've seen business owners have, and how would you recommend solving it?
Oh, buddy, geez, that's like a how long is a piece of string question. I think that in the beginning, most business owners struggle with the autonomy. And by that, what I mean is that they are the boss and they really need to act like the boss. A lot of people, when they come from having a job into their own business, they're kind of still, I hate to say it, they're still waiting for someone to tell them what to do. And they're still waiting for the boss to kick their backside. Look, if it is to be in business, it's up to you. And so then there's multiple phases, though. If you read my book, Billionaire in Training, when you go to self-employed, that's sort of that first phase. Then you go to the level manager where you're employing others. Then it's about the ability to let go, to train others to do it better than you. I guess when you've got a growth business, the biggest challenge I see is the emotional one of letting go, the trusting employees to do a good job, the training them to do a good job. Because if you don't train them to do a good job, they can never do it as good as you. And that's where I hear business owners use wording like, oh, no one can do it as good as me, or if you want the job done right, you got to do it yourself. Well, that's because you're really bad at training people how to do it better than you. The idea of a business owner is that you create people who are better at the job than you so you can run the business, and to always be wanting to be the best. It's like, if you ever met that sales manager that will never let anyone beat their records because it's like, no, I hold the record of the most sales, and like, shut up. A good sales manager wants every salesperson to beat their old records. That's the thing. And a good business owner wants every employee to be better at the job than the owner is, so the owner doesn't have to do it anymore. If you're the best in your company at a certain thing, you got to keep doing it. So train people, mentor them, educate them, send them out for training. If they're better than you, you can relax. If they're not better than you, you got to do the work.
Yes, love that. Love it a lot. So what should a business owner do when they know they have a weakness that's holding their business back from success? So, for example, maybe they're not a good manager of people.
Stop doing that badly. Did you ever watch that? There was a great comedy act from Saturday Night Live called Stop It. And it's a phenomenal little piece. Maybe, Sean, you can post a link to it underneath this interview. But
I've seen it many times.
When you sit down and you look at it and someone says, oh, this is a challenge for me, I'm no good at it. See, business doesn't get easier, you get better at business. Management doesn't get easier, you get better at management. Sales doesn't get easier, you got to get better at sales. I was an awful salesman when I first started, but I was awful. But I read the books, I went to the courses, I did the practice, I rehearsed my scripts, I went out and did sales, and I got better and better. To finally, now I can sell a bunch of stuff. But, anyone that says they're bad at something or no good at something, you got one of two choices. Either recruit people who are good at it and can do it for you, or you got to learn it yourself. Now, if you're going to recruit people, you still have to learn a segment of it yourself. So imagine, Sean, someone wanted to hire a marketing manager and they knew nothing about marketing. That person's going to struggle to get any good marketing managers because they don't even know what questions to ask to determine are they any good at marketing. All they'll ask is, do you have a degree in marketing? Yes, okay, I like you, on you go. And that's just crazy. You're going to have areas in business where you have weaknesses. You've got to learn enough about them to hire the right people, or you've got to learn enough about it to do it yourself. And that's just business. You have to learn these things. Your first business is like an apprenticeship for your second business. You're going to make a lot of mistakes in your first one. You're going to learn a bunch, get better, get better, get better. I know now that I'm on 50-something, there's very few challenges I haven't come across in one of my businesses or in one of the coaching clients I've worked with before.
Yeah. So you got to learn stuff? Man, this is tough.
Well,
stuff.
That's the hardest. I got to tell you though, Sean, that is the hardest part of being a business owner. The learning work is harder than the doing work. The doing work's relatively simple. The learning work, that's the tough part.
Yeah. And that's why we do what we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some people are really looking to take their business to the next level, and they want to do it kind of as quick as possible. Mm-hmm. So what are the key components for a business owner to go from, say, 100K to $1 million in revenue, say from 1 million to 10 million, or say from 10 million to 100 million?
Well, they're different at each of those stages. From 100 grand to $1 million, it's really about people. It's really about bringing people on to do the work, because you can kind of get to $1 million off your own back in some businesses, but in most you're going to need good people around you to do that. To go from $1 million to 10 is usually about marketing. Usually it's about the marketing aspect of the business. You can't, you can get to $1 million with sort of word of mouth and a bit of low end marketing. To go to 10, you've got to get to more mass marketing and more better marketing. And to go from 10 to 100 is all about leverage. It's about creating more opportunities for more business. You might have to open other offices, that sort of thing. If people go through, Sean, in our 6 levels of growing a business, it's like when people read the Business Coach and learn those 6 steps, the 6 levels of doing that, they'll see where you've got to hit that synergy level to be able to go from the 10 to 100 million. You've got to be able to follow that and create a business model that is designed for that speed of growth. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, look, I'm writing another book at the moment called Adding Zeros. It's about multiplying a business and, multiplying business profits. If you ask someone the question, Sean, what do you got to do to get 30% growth this year? In most cases, it's work a bit harder, do a bit more, a bit extra here, a bit extra there, and you can get to 30% growth. You just got to do that more. But then I asked them the question, well, what do you got to do to get 30 times growth this year, to grow by 30 times what you did last year? They sit there and look at me with a blank stare going, well, Brad, I'm already working 40 hours, 60 hours a week. There's no way I can do that. And that's where, again, it's a different strategy and a different thought process that kicks in.
Yeah. Nice. Well, so good to know. If you're looking to grow from 100K to 100 million, you got a few different growth, sections to go through and different strategies to look at. So there's obviously so many things that a business owner could be doing with their time. I know a lot of business owners struggle with this. And so I guess I'll ask, how should a business owner prioritize their business activities?
Dang, buddy. Big question. So first of all, let's remove one thing. Time management is a complete joke. There's no such thing as time management. There's self-management. So in all of our companies, everywhere we go, every single employee at the end of every single day writes a list of what they're going to do tomorrow. Okay. So that starts. See, the monthly plan or weekly plan is of no value if you don't do a daily plan. The daily plan is the most important value. The daily goals are the most important goals, because consistency of daily performance leads to annual hitting your goals. You can't hit your annual goals by working November, December just to make sure you get there type thing. You've got to do it every single day. So, and then from there, you've got to look at, obviously, once you've made your list of things to do, your A, B's, and C's and D priorities, and A priorities have always got to be growth-oriented things, so things that are urgent and important. Stephen Covey wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and First Things First. And I think that if you read and understand those, he gives you some great hints at making sure you're doing the right things at the right time. But ultimately, buddy, it comes down to what makes you money is the first thing you have to be doing first thing in the morning. And once you've gotten it past the what makes you money part, then do the other parts. People get into the fluff, if I can be bluntly about it. They'll go and check their emails before they do the money-making calls, or they'll go and do some operational silly thing before, rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic before they make sales. Sales must be your number one thing first thing in the morning. Get your sales done. Once you've made your sales for the day, and Monday's got to be sales day. If Monday's not sales day, then, it's just crazy. I see too many business people that leave sales and therefore it gets done last. And that's what ends up happening to them.
All right. Great insights there. Appreciate that. So we've talked about a lot of different topics, subject matters, different ideas and strategies and tips you've given us so far. What are the top 3 tips for business owners to succeed in business that you would have for someone out there?
Read my books, hire a coach, and go to seminars. And that's not being facetious, but it's being real. If you're not reading, the business will grow to your level of incompetence. The moment you stop learning, the business stops growing. It's as simple as that. So learning, and so let's classify all 3 of those things as learning. You're learning as the business owner. If the owner stops learning, the business stops growing. And a business that stops growing starts dying. You look at a tree outside, it can either grow or die. It can't stand still. And business is the same. Any living organism has to keep growing. It's either dying or growing. It can't do the standstill part. So the second thing I would say is that if you're going to be successful in business, make sure that, and this goes against a lot of people's advice. They have the advice of, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. It's not true. If you do what you love, you'll work harder than anybody else because you love what you're doing. So, you've got to put in the time, energy, and effort. There's no magic formula in business. There's just, learn what to do and work dang hard at it. Don't think of that. And the third thing is have great people around you. If you recruit good and train great. I remember as a kid, buddy, I used to complain to my dad because my dad was a good businessman and he ran a big piping company. And I said, you know what, Dad, I just can't get good people. And I kept complaining to him about getting bad employees. They weren't motivated, this, that. And he looked at me, I think I was about 21. And he looked me dead in the eye and he said, Brad, you get the people you deserve. You're an average manager running an average company. The highest caliber of employee you'll ever find is average. And I sat back and I went, geez, thanks for the motivation, Dad. You know, so you can see where I got my motivational streak from. And, you know, my dad was right, though. You know, until I became a good leader and ran a good company, good people didn't want to work there. Great people don't want to work in a shitty company. It's not that complex. So great people want to work for a great leader and a great company. So as I got better at that, I could attract better people, and therefore they would run my business. See, the owner's job is to build the people. The people's job is to, as the owner takes care of the staff take care of the customers. It's like an inverse relationship. If you take care of your staff really badly, and you can see this the moment you get on an airline, you can see at any airline, oh, where do they treat their staff bad? Oh, let me guess which one. Where do they treat their staff well? Oh, I can see which one. You know, and you see that sort of stuff. Actually, just this morning, I was quoted by Sir Richard Branson in one of his articles talking about the future of employees and that sort of stuff. And I think it's, if you take care of your staff, they'll take care of your customers will take care of your business, and your business will take care of you.
Yeah, excellent advice. So we've got the last question, which is the most important, I think, of all these that we've asked. So you've been all over the world. Mm-hmm. If you had one recommendation on a destination to visit, where would it be and why?
Okay, for business, the destination would be India, purely because India at this point in time has about 50% of its population is under the age of 32. So it is the fastest growing young population in the world. English speaking, the rule of the Commonwealth law, so English law. And I think India is going to be a phenomenal. By 2030, they say India will be ahead of China in population and ahead of China in GDP, or gross domestic product. If it was for vacation or something, my home country of Australia. Australia wins hands down, buddy. I still have a home there. I go to the Great Barrier Reef all the time, a little island called Hamilton Island. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world, just off the coast. We jump on the boat, we go around to a little place called Whitehaven Beach, pure white silica sand, and it comes up from a volcano under the earth, and this pure sand comes from the middle of the island every day and washes out, and it's this pure white beach. So for me, I'm a beach guy, but then, you know, my wife would say it's Paris because she loves the romance and all of that of Paris. But I enjoy Paris too because I get to drink the wine and eat the food. But buddy, look, I travel a lot for business. I travel a lot for personal life. And I would just say the only answer to that question is to travel wherever you can, whenever you can, because it's that one thing that just adds value to your life no matter what.
Yeah, I love it. Didn't realize you were from Australia, man. I'm learning new stuff every day. It's crazy.
See, the g'day doesn't help it. It doesn't understand that. See, I've lived here so long. My wife's from Massachusetts, and I've lived here so long. Often people think I sound American, but when I go back to Australia, my Australian friends think I sound American. But when I go to England, they're like, do you have an Australian or an American accent? They don't quite work it out anymore. But look, you know, I guess I'm very lucky growing up in Australia too, buddy, for two reasons. One is that it's a tough market to be successful in. See, Australia has a very high cost of living. The wages cost is generally about double the cost of wages here in the States. The personal days off, the holidays, all that stuff, the cost of distribution, because it's a big island, all of those things are very tough. And so what I found was you had to be very, very good at business to succeed there. So when I came to the States and I looked around, I said, why aren't people taking advantage of these opportunities? You know, there's massive opportunities here and no one's doing anything about it. And one of the biggest things I've noticed, and my kids are growing up, well, all my kids are American. There's, you know, my wife's American, but I watched them grow up, and where there's so much opportunity around, sometimes they take it for granted, and they don't fight for it as hard as some of us from some other countries do. And yeah, I think that's a big plus of growing up as an Aussie. And the second thing is, we Aussies love to have fun. People often ask me, why do you live in Las Vegas? I said, it's the only city in America fun enough for an Aussie. So that's the way it is. I know where you're from, Sean. It's definitely fun, but it's not quite the way we are here in Vegas.
Hey, I do enjoy myself a good trip to Las Vegas. So, and I've lived in Spain myself, and I often tell people here in the United States, I'm like, man, when you see what life is like in some other countries, you truly understand what we have in the United States, where you can go to any 50 states in the same country. You don't need a passport. You just go so many more opportunities. It's the same language. You don't even have to try. And there's so much more opportunity here than you might have in so many other countries. So.
Yeah, and I love that. Buddy, look, I'm so proud of what you're doing, helping the business owners there. You're coaching so many of them to so much success. And anyone watching this, please chat with Sean because he's killing it out there, getting great results with clients, business growth. But even more important, Sean, one of your clients sent me a note the other month saying that they're really – it's not just the money that they're making that's changed. It's the way they've changed their approach to business, and they're working less and less stress and that sort of stuff. And I think that's a really important thing. So kudos to you, buddy, and thanks for the interview today.
Well, thank you very much. Like I said, super happy we could have you on. I'm really glad that you could join us, and I think all the information you've given it's priceless, and hopefully we can help these business owners continue to succeed. So, Brad, really appreciate it, and we'll talk soon again.
Bye for now.
All right. See ya.